Lesson 2-1, and this is video 4, this last one in section 1 of Unit 2. So we're going to be translating words and expressions into algebraic expressions. So let's go ahead and go to our first page here. And in that, I would like for you to pause the video for just a second and you write down as many words as you can remember that would indicate that you should add in a word problem, or that you should subtract or multiply or divide. So write down as many words as you can think of. We'll put a list on here, but by no means is it everything that we could possibly mean add or subtract or multiply or divide, because just in real life, there's no way we could get everything to fit on there. So let's think of some common words for add. So, of course, you know, the one everyone's going to write is add and plus and all those kind of things. But let's think of some more that are a little bit maybe out of the ordinary. So what if we said that it was increased by? Okay, increased by. That would be one. Okay, what if we said it was greater than, like it was 3 units greater than, so greater than. That's going to be kind of a confusing one right there. We're going to talk about that one. So I'm going to put a little star by that one. And the one that we all should have, which is sum. The word sum, that one's going to be a very important one. So we're going to go ahead and circle that word right there, sum. That's the one that's the really mathy type word there. So we'll put sum. Okay. If you deposited, you would put that word there. So there's anything that is increasing, that it's going up, those would be words that you would put in that section. Now, if we're looking for the word for things that mean subtract, so of course minus, that would be the common one. If we said that it was less than, like one side is 3 units less than the other side, that would be an example where you would subtract. The one that you definitely need in there is the word difference. That's the really mathy word. When you see the difference, it means that you're going to subtract. So let's go ahead and circle that one. We're going to put that star around that less than one right there, because that one can be a little confusing. If you're going to decrease something, that would be an indication of subtracting. And I'm sure we're in class, we'll probably brainstorm and get lots of words there. And then if we're going to think about multiplying, you know, like twice, that would mean that you're going to multiply by 2. If you did a triple, that would be multiplied by 3. You know, we could go on and on with those kind of words. The one that I would definitely want to see in your list is product. That's the really mathy word. So let's put a circle around that one. If we see that one, we definitely know it's the math term for multiply. It's the answer you get when you multiply 2 things together. Division, you grouped equally. That would mean that you were going to divide. The math word that we use in most of the time, and the really mathy word, is quotient. Okay, we'll circle that one. It's the answer you get when you divide 2 things. Things are grouped equally. If you want to say shared equally, those kind of things. Now, let's go on down to these parentheses. Those words that we circled, those are words that when we see them in a sentence, generally means we will probably need some parentheses. So if we see the word sum, because it's the answer that you get when you add things together, so the word sum, if you see that word, there's a good chance you need to use parentheses in your equation. If you see the word difference, okay, difference, And this has to do with order of operations. And, you know, if you don't have parentheses in there, you would normally do adding and subtracting last. But if you put parentheses around it, then that means you're going to move them to the front of the line and do those first. The word product means that there'll be a good chance that you'll need parentheses. Not always, but many times. It wouldn't hurt if you did. And, oops, not difference. We already have that one in there. We need the word quotient. Okay, not difference, but quotient. Let me erase that. Okay, and quotient. Those are parentheses words. Now, the next one that we're going to look at is what I call turnaround words. They're words that mean that you switch the order. So we'll look at some examples of those, but those are words like more than. Okay, that means you have something and then you're going to do more than that. So you take what you've got and then you add to it. Another one would be less than. That means you take whatever it is you have and you subtract something from it. More than, less than, fewer than, that would be a subtraction. Most of the time, they're words that end in than. It's a little phrase that ends in than. Fewer than. I'm not thinking of any more right now in my head, but maybe as we go through, we'll go back and add a few more to those. So let's go to the next slide. Okay, here are some symbols that we need to know when we see them in a sentence, how we would translate those. So if we saw the equal to sign, we would use the equal to sign if we see the word is in a sentence, okay, or that it totals. So if we see those words, we know we're going to be using an equal to sign. And of course, if it says equals, of course that would be one. This would be not equal to. Okay, so it's not equal to. And the next one, that is okay, the next one is a greater than symbol. So it's a greater than symbol, but if we're going to use that, the phrase that we're going to be looking at is not just the word greater than, it has to have the word is in front of it. Is greater than. That indicates that we're going to use the inequality. If we just say greater than, if you go back and look at the slide right before, we use the word greater than for addition. So if we add the word is with it, then that will mean that we're going to use an inequality. This one would be the phrase is greater than or equal to, is greater than. I'm leaving my letters off. Is greater than or equal to. Okay. Another word that we might use here is at least. That's kind of one that seems a little bit weird, but the phrase at least would mean that we're talking about it has to be greater than or equal to. Okay. Another one here is the less than symbol, and it's not just less than. When we see the phrase is being important right there, is less than. Because if we just said less than, then we are saying that we're going to subtract it. So is less than would mean that we are going to use the inequality symbol. It's comparing two things. And then our last one here is the less than or equal to. and we have to have the word is in front of it. Very important. Is less than or equal to. Okay. The other phrase that we might see, the one that may be a little bit confusing when we say that it is at most. At most. So it has to be, like if I said at most 10, that means 10 or less. So that phrase right there, at most, would mean we were going to use a less than or equal to symbol. Then let's go on to the next slide here. Let's go ahead and translate a couple of these words. So we're going to actually, when you're translating a phrase like that, it's very helpful to go through, underline, put the symbols above it, because this is kind of almost like translating into a foreign language. Math terminology, first you have to make it, understand it in English, and then translate that into the symbols that we use, the algebraic symbols. So we've got 6, and we have the word less than. Notice it doesn't have the word is in front of it, so it's a minus sign. Product, when you see the word product, there's a good chance you're going to need parentheses, but it means you're going to multiply. What are the two things that we're going to multiply? A number, we'll let that be in, okay? And 7. So we're going to have an n and a 7. So that means I have 6 is less than. Now, less than is one of those turnaround words also. So when you see that word less than, it takes whatever is in front and it throws it in behind because it's a turnaround word. So 6 is less than. So we're going to have to throw the 6 behind the phrase that comes after it. The product of 7 and n. 7 times n. Now, you can put parentheses around that or not. It's not necessary because you're going to do multiplication before you do your addition or subtraction. But if you put parentheses around it, it would not be wrong. Now, let's go to the next phrase. 5 more than a number. More than would mean plus. Doesn't have the word is with it, so it's just plus. 5 more than a number. N is, now we have the word is less than. So that means I'm going to have an inequality symbol because it has the whole 3-word phrase, is less than 2. So more than, that's a turnaround word. So that throws your 5 in behind the n. So 5 more than n. So we have our n first, and the 5 goes behind the addition sign. And is less than is a less than symbol, 2. Now, in this one, this is the exact way of translating it, but addition is commutative, so you could do n plus 5, but your answer wouldn't truly be wrong if it was 5 plus n. Up here with subtraction, subtraction is not commutative. You can't move those around. So this one, if you put those out of order, it is wrong. So let's go to the last one here. Twice. Twice means that we're going to multiply by 2. Twice the difference. Difference is a is a parentheses word. That also means subtract. So what are the things that we're going to be putting in that parentheses? A number, which is n, and 3. Okay, so that's going to be what we're subtracting. A number and 3. Totals. There's the word that would mean equal. Totals, so it equals 12. Now we're going to practice a lot of those in our slide as we go through. We'll see several of these that are tricky that we really need to look at very closely. Now, that's the end of the video, but in class we'll talk about more of those tricky problems that may give you some issues as you go through. So there's no tries on this one, but you're going to complete your practice and begin studying for your mastery check.